So your brain doesn't directly understand the world. Anything you know is really a representation of the world kind of stored within your brain. And your brain is constantly working on improving these representations. Some people call these representations mental models, and that's a term I like to use. I also like to refer to these mental models as sort of like lenses because they kind of affect how you see and interact with the world. It's like looking through a lens at reality where there might be some filtering or distortion based on the models that are kind of in your head. So if you're trying to get better at drawing and art, how do you make the lenses associated with that better? Art isn't one of those things that you can kind of like test and measure your skill in the same way that you might be able to test and measure your skill in a language or in math. It's a really subjective skill, and your skill in it really depends a lot on your goals. So for example, my goal is to do things kind of like concept art and sort of imaginative kind of illustrations or comics, where if your goal is to be a great landscape painter or something, your lenses that you need to improve might be slightly different. There's a lot of factors that go into this, but for all of us, and this goes beyond just art, improving these sort of mental models or lenses is kind of the same for everybody. The brain basically works the same for everybody. But this is a video about art, so we're going to talk about art. So one thing you can do is try pushing your art in a lot of different directions and situations. By doing this, you're trying out your mental models under like different conditions. And when you fail, so when you don't meet your expectations or you just don't like it, your brain starts working on how to fix that problem. And it may learn things in the background, so you may not feel like you're learning stuff, but you also will probably consciously be aware of like, I messed up this thing because I didn't understand perspective enough, or I messed up this thing because I didn't understand lighting enough. And it seems like there's an infinite number of little things that you can learn about art to get better. So, the way I put this into practice is by just trying different like processes, styles, and approaches to art. And you can see this in action for me by looking through all of my drawings and art so far. I keep them in an album, which you can find in the description. So I'll do like doodles, and then I'll do landscapes, and then basic forms and figure drawing, more doodles, and then I'll play around with graffiti or a spirograph, and then I'll do more doodles. So my goal there is to mix in different aspects of reality, like landscapes and figures and different little shapes and things like that, but then kind of put them into an imaginative sort of setting, which is why I do a whole lot of doodling. For me, that kind of mixing helps a lot. If your goal is something else, your mixing will probably look kind of different. But there is other kinds of mixing that I think would be generally helpful for anybody making art. So for example, I'll mix like abstract drawing with drawing from reference and then drawing from the imagination because these things just push your general ability to make art. I also mixed in like drawing or line-based kind of art with sort of painting or rendering-based kind of art. So I'll do art centered around line, and then I'll do art centered around shape and form and light. And mixing these things up makes both approaches better, I think. You can also kind of bounce between different mediums and processes, and part of this is feeling out things that you may not have tried but you may like. And another part of it is that it will help you get better at whatever it is that you're trying to get better at. You can take this beyond just drawing and painting too. For example, you could like mix painting and photography to help you push your composition and framing skills. You could mix cinematography and drawing, which might help you build better stories. Or you can take that further and mix something like figure drawing and scientific study anatomy to help you push a deeper understanding of the body. So even if you're not necessarily trying to be an artist, but you're trying to be, say, like a doctor, learning to draw and doing like a lot of figure study and anatomical study can help you build a better understanding for that goal. So this is really a great thing to do no matter what your goals are. And something to keep in mind with this is that time is a factor. So the closer you mix things together, the more likely you're going to benefit from it. And this is kind of hard with art because sometimes art takes a long time. So something I do to kind of get around that is I'll just carry a sketchbook around with me and just do quick sketches in it throughout the day. And that lets me sort of mix my imaginative drawing with my more focused study, which I typically do at night. And depending on your life and your goals, you can find other ideas. Like maybe you carry a camera around with you and take reference shots that you later use or something like that. And so for me, I don't necessarily have a strong rhyme or reason to what I will mix in next. Usually I'll just kind of follow however I'm feeling and kind of go with the flow. But sometimes I will notice a problem. Like for example, I went from figure drawing to perspective drawing because I noticed I was struggling with perspective in my figure drawing. And I recently started playing around with graffiti because I noticed I was having trouble with coming up with embellishments to make doodles look kind of cooler, and graffiti is all about embellishment. So I thought it would be a great place to find inspiration and practice for just getting better at creating embellishment. And I think it's working so far, but time will tell. Overall, my only goal is just keep mixing things up. All right, so I hope this helps you. I hope it gives you ideas for ways to push your art further. I plan on doing more of these videos because I do have other aspects of my strategy that are kind of like this, where it's not directly about like how you draw something. It's more about how you move yourself forward in general. If you like this kind of video, please let me know. That way I know to prioritize those videos. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching.